So now that we've talked about the bad tracks in the Booster Course Pass, now we can talk about the great tracks, the top tier ones, the best of the best, the tracks that aren't like Toad Circuit. Basically, if someone came up to me and said that the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass was trash, these tracks would be the ones that I would bring up to show why it's not all bad, because there are definitely some diamonds in the rough here. Just like last time, this was going to be a top 10, but considering that numbers 10 to 6 again have very similar points and I kind of don't want to repeat myself over and over again, I will give you a brief summary as to why I think that these tracks are so good. Number 10, GBA Riverside Park, amazing remake. Number 9, Yoshi's Island, amazing theming and design. The fact that they made a track based off of Yoshi's Island is fantastic, extremely well executed. Number 8, N64 Calamari Desert, amazing twist. The train track is officially part of the track now. That's amazing. 7, GBA Snowland, amazing remake and music. I also love the colours. And number 6, Tour Sydney Sprint, absolutely banging music, one of the best in the whole series in my opinion, vibrant colours, and it's just a ton of fun to race on. I'm sorry, but if Sydney Sprint has all of that, then Singapore Speedway has it in buckets, loads. It's basically Sydney Sprint, but take everything that I just said and times it by a million. I am honestly impressed with this. When I first played this track for the first time on the Booster Course Pass, I thought to myself, how is this a fun track? How is this a tour track? They really put their heart and soul into this one, and even in the remake of this track for the Booster Course Pass, they went in. This water section alone, like this part here, just summarizes how I feel about this track. It's just so nice to look at and to drive through. Compared to the other tour tracks, this is definitely one of the more memorable and catchy tracks. Unlike the other ones, I actually remember how this track theme sounds. To be honest, I like a lot of the nighttime Mario Kart tracks anyway, and this is definitely a nice one to add to the list. I mean, all of the lights and things in the background in this nice city, it's just so nice to look at, and it definitely gives me Streets of Rage vibes, which is a video game franchise that I love to death. And out of all of the tour tracks, this one is definitely my favourite. The obstacles are a blast to drive through, especially the water geysers, the ramps, and all of the hoops that you can go through. And I absolutely love this section here. It reminds me so much of Toad's Factory, which is a fan favourite and a track that Nintendo absolutely needs to bring back in the next Mario Kart game. So overall, I really love Singapore Speedway. It was a great surprise. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be that good. It was definitely one of the reasons why Wave 4 was one of my favourite waves in this Booster Course Pass, and is honestly one of the best tracks in the whole Booster Course Pass. By far the best tour track. Yes, I do think that Wave 4 was one of the best waves in the whole Booster Course Pass. But Singapore Speedway isn't my favourite Wave 4 track. Nope, that honour goes to Wii DK Snowboard Cross, or DK Summit if you're not British like me. This is how you remake a childhood favourite. Again, Nintendo put their all into this. Now don't get me wrong, me putting this at number 4 could be nostalgia bias, but honestly speaking, comparing this to the original, I think that they recreated this extremely well. First of all, the music remix is absolutely amazing. Like, they added so much more electronic sounds to it, and it sounds so updated and fresh. Definitely one of the best music remixes out of any retro track in this game, hands down. It reminds me a lot of the Sonic soundtrack for some reason, and when you're on a track where you're literally doing craziness like this at top speed, especially on 200cc, it's an extremely nice feeling. Now, one thing that I was curious about going into this remake is how is the Mario Kart 8 engine going to work with a Mario Kart Wii track like DK Snowboard Cross? I said this in my top 5 worst Booster Course Pass tracks video, but I feel like some tracks only work with certain Mario Kart engines. Because in Mario Kart Wii you go absolutely flying off of ramps versus Mario Kart 8 you kind of just bunny hop, it won't feel the same. But you know what? I think they've done a pretty good job translating this track over to Mario Kart 8, because in my opinion anyway, it feels just as fun as the original. Which is surprising because they didn't really change that much, if anything at all. All they did was just update the visuals and maybe make certain obstacles a little bit larger, which I appreciate. The track was already great, so just make it look better, I guess. They literally kept in all of the shortcuts, take note Sky Garden, and the half pipes are still a ton of fun to go off of. Like, especially on 200cc, I absolutely love them. And you know what, in some cases you go even further into the sky compared to Mario Kart Wii. It's actually hilarious. Also, a little side note, I absolutely love how they changed the Mario statue for a Donkey Kong statue. Do you know how long it took me to realize how dumb that was, that they put a Mario statue in a Donkey Kong stage? It's kind of weird, right? But at least they kind of fixed that now. But yeah, man, for a track that wasn't really changed that much, they still did an amazing job recreating this track. And for me, as a big Mario Kart Wii fan, I think they've done a great job with making a fan favorite super fun to play in 2023. Something else that's fun to do in 2023 is subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. You see what I did there? Basically, if you love Mario Kart, you will love this channel because we tend to cover it quite a lot. So make sure that you hit the big red subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so that you don't miss a single one of my videos. Thanks. Here's another childhood track of mine, Peach Gardens. Again, they did an amazing job here. Very similar to how I feel about DK Snowboard Cross. Music remix wise, one of the best retro remixes in the whole game in my opinion. The instrumentation was perfect for this track, absolutely perfect. It just adds to the pristineness of Peach Gardens, being that this is a princess's garden. It just makes it sound super classy, if you know what I'm saying. And plus the original theme was already good, so adding some Mario Kart 8ness to it, yeah, it's bound to be amazing. But oh my goodness, the part with the chain chomps, that is by far the most improved part about this track. Look at this. Gone are the Minecraft bushes. Look at the bushes now. They actually look like things. You're adding a water fountain there as well? Nah. Nintendo, you knocked this out of the park. Or garden in this case. Anyway, and if that wasn't surprising enough, on the third lap they throw in a complete curveball. You're now driving the track backwards. What in the DS mission mode is going on here? If you saw my reaction to this track, you would know that I had to pause it for several minutes just to process what just happened. Nintendo didn't even need to do this. I wasn't begging Nintendo to do this, but the fact that they included this anyway, that really just blew my mind and just made me appreciate this track even more. Thank you Nintendo for taking one of my childhood tracks and somehow making it 10 times better. I think this is the definitive way of playing Peach Gardens. I absolutely love this remake. But I'm sorry, you've got remake and then you've just got redo. This is SNES Bowser's Castle 3. I will say that again. SNES Bowser's Castle 3. And it looks like this. This is not a remake, this is a redo. Now, I could spend several minutes talking about the visuals here, but I don't really feel like I need to say much. Like, just use the gift of sight to see what I'm talking about here. Like, this is a SNES track. I still can't get past that. Again, music wise, Nintendo absolutely knocked it out of the park. The original theme was already amazing in Super Mario Kart, so adding some rock elements to it literally just brought it to a whole nother level. Definitely contributes to the danger and the urgency of the track. Amazing job. But then we just get to the track itself and they just got everything right and more here. The anti-gravity section was so not needed, but they done it anyway. Is it a lava fall? Basically that again wasn't needed and they included that as well. And as weird as this sounds, one of my favourite parts about this track is that they took advantage of the quirks of the original. Instead of gutting out all of the split paths which could have contributed to the track feeling a little bit bloated, it's actually a lot of fun, and especially that part at the end where you can literally choose to drive either on the ground or up on the pillars, again is so not needed, and I was not expecting them to still keep that part in. I thought they were going to gut that part out entirely. They really and truly saved the best for last. Well, almost. SNES Bowser's Castle 3 is second to last in the Booster Course Pass. They really did save the best for last though, because the last track in the Booster Course Pass is the best of the best, and it's Wii Rainbow Road. Not only is this my favourite Booster Course Pass track, but this is my all-time favourite Mario Kart track. The only way that this track wouldn't have been number one is if somehow Nintendo decided to pull a Toad circuit, but they didn't. They absolutely did not fail here. Again, I don't really need to talk talk about the visuals because, I mean, just look at it. The texture that they use for the road is so nice to look at, and I'm so glad that they didn't just copy and paste the one that they used for 3DS Rainbow Road. It gives it a nice retro feel, and in my opinion, it's a nice nod to SNES Rainbow Road. And unlike other Booster Course Pass tracks where they make the track a lot more narrow than it used to be, it makes sense for this track as it's Rainbow Road. If anything, it just adds to the challenge, especially on 200cc. I absolutely love it. That was actually one of my biggest fears going into this track. Will it be any easier? Will it get nerfed? But in my opinion, it's just as difficult as the original. Speaking of 200cc, this is one of my favourite tracks to play on 200cc. It's so much fun, it's so difficult, it's so intense, and it's just so good, man. I mean, what else is there to say? We've known that this is a great track ever since Mario Kart Wii's release. Everything that was great about the original is here in HD pretty much. Again, the music remix is phenomenal and is just as good as the original, still kept the same charm, and again, when I reacted to it, it hit different from the first second. I mean, to be honest, they just had to do a DK Snowball Cross, just take a track that was already great and just make it 10 times prettier. That's pretty much what they did. This is a retro track that kept the charm of the original track. Yeah, of course, this is #1 on the list and is still the best Mario Kart track of all time, in my opinion, of course. Don't get me wrong, 3DS Rainbow Road is great, but it is no Wii Rainbow Road, and it never will be. So those were my top 5 favourite Booster Course Pass tracks. Stay tuned next time though, because we're going to be talking about the... Oh wait, it's done now, isn't it? Well, that's sad.